What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. Guys, this video is all about Man of Steel 2 and the prospect that Matthew Vaughn might be the director of that film. So a lot of this broke several days ago all over the interwebs. I'm going to reference mostly a Collider article about it just because I really like those guys over there. But a lot of interesting stuff going on with this. So basically, it is very true that Warner Brothers is eyeing Matthew Vaughn to direct Man of Steel 2. So what's really interesting and what they go into in the Collider article that I thought was cool was he was actually kind of eyed as a director, or at least he pitched a Superman movie to Warner Brothers around the same time they were developing Man of Steel. What is interesting is he actually took a very different approach than David Goyer and Christopher Nolan. You have to understand that at this time, Nolan had just got done doing the Dark Knight trilogy, and they were trying to do the same thing they did with the Dark Knight with Superman, like a postmodern, more realistic take. And to be honest, like, I unabashedly love Man of Steel. So I think it worked, but very interestingly, that was not the vision that Matthew Vaughn had. Here's a quote from him. He literally said, "I think that's one thing not to do with Superman, trying to do the serious The Dark Knight version. Superman is about color and fun, or it should be for me." Very interesting stuff. So essentially, if Warner Brothers is trying to more or less take the DC Extended Universe in a more colorful, more fun direction, it would appear that Matthew Vaughn might be the guy to do that. Now, what's very weird about this is that Matthew Vaughn is actually the guy that succeeded making R-rated comic book movies before Deadpool and before Logan. I'm talking about Kick-Ass, I'm talking about Kingsman. I mean, the guy is really, really talented at making films. I mean, I've loved all his stuff from Layer Cake on. I mean, he's really, really good at making movies. It's weird because I don't necessarily get the poppy, colorful Superman vibe from a lot of his work, but if that's what he said and that's the direction Warner Brothers wants to go, I would be super pumped to see a Matthew Vaughn Man of Steel. And listen, all you DC fanboys, listen to what I am saying. I like Man of Steel. I like Superman. I like this news. I think this could be really, really dope. Now, what would be really interesting here is you have a Man of Steel 2 situation. I mean, I don't know where they would sit it in the timeline, but it really, if they're doing this movie after Justice League and we have like a resurrected Superman, I mean, the whole thing is that dying for what he believes in and the whole journey that this Superman has been on may put him in a completely different mental space. It would be very interesting to see Matthew deal with that kind of a story and how he would take that to a place of hope and to a place of more colorful poppiness that he really wants and intends to make. It says in this article that basically no deal has been struck, and even if he does not sign on to do Man of Steel 2, that Warner Brothers still wants him to do a movie in the future of the DC Extended Universe. So I'm not going to sit here and say that unlike a lot of other stuff that I see out of Warner Brothers and DC for their PR and stuff like that, this doesn't feel like a desperate ploy for attention and kind of like don't look behind the curtain sort of stuff. This actually seems like a legitimate story, and I'm actually legitimately pumped up about it. I think it would be a good move for them. If you've been watching my stuff, you probably know some of the issues I have with Warner Brothers and the different things that they have done when it comes to their movies. I think this would be a really great move for them. And, I just find it so odd for a number of different reasons. It's interesting to me because it's odd. Vaughn, who I wouldn't necessarily call that kind of, poppy happiness. I mean, he's very stylized. He can do style really well, but for Superman, I mean, it just seems kind of interesting. It would be a good get. I think it would restore a lot of faith between the fans and the company and everything like that. So really hoping that this comes to pass. I like Matthew Vaughn a lot. I like Superman a lot. I think this would be a perfect fit. Having said that, we really don't know where the timeline is going to be for the movie. And we also don't know what the state of the DC Extended Universe will be after Justice League. Wonder Woman, I mean, I've heard mixed things, but I'm pretty pumped about it. I think it might be really, really good, which would really help them out. But then what happens if Justice League is a mess? I mean, you know, there's questions there we don't know the answers to. But let's be optimistic. Hopefully everything will be fine with Justice League. And then if we get a Matthew Vaughn Man of Steel movie, that might, you know, restore some of that faith. Like I said, it might bring other directors in to buy into this. I mean, look, DC need to adjust. The thing that's crazy about media these days is you can adjust. You can take a huge hit and you can adjust. Like the thing that's beautiful about this trending, super engaged, hot, cold media world that we live in is last week's news is last week's news. All of the crap and the badness that has followed DC around for this whole process could disappear just as quickly as it all seemed to be collapsing. So, you know, there's a lot of potential for hope out there. So let's be hopeful. Man, this would be really cool. Matthew Vaughn lined up to maybe direct Man of Steel 2. Let me know in the comments section. What do you think about this news? Are you pumped about it? What do you think about the interesting play where he was pitching a brighter Superman movie at the same time Nolan and Goyer were working on Man of Steel? What do you think about that? Is that interesting to you as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!